And this is my latest 3D print. It's the theater with a chandelier and a backdrop that changes colors and seating for the little patrons. Just have to find some little people to put on stage. Maybe I can 3D print some. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 401 for March 24th, 2025, and I hope your week is starting off great, if this is the first day of the week for you. If it's not, I hope your week's been good. Okay, so let's jump right into what I have been up to and what I've been creating. So, as you can see, I made another tote bag. This is another Sweet Pea design, and this one's a little different because it's got this little zippered flap on the front as a closure. I think it turned out pretty good, and I did use the faux leather. I'm really enjoying doing that faux leather or using faux leather on these bags. In fact, I got to get some more of that very soon. But anyways, tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this kind of unusual or somewhat unique closure for this bag on a tote bag. This is not something you see on a tote bag a lot. So we'll talk about all of that tomorrow on Idiot Quilter. So tune in. But I think it came out really great. It's a good size. And yeah, I'm very pleased with it. And this Sweet Pea design had no real problems with it. No. So there were a few errors. As you know, I've been finding errors in Sweet Pea patterns, but nothing to write home about. It's fine. I was able to do it, no problems. Okay, that's about all at the moment I have to show you. I haven't been very what is the term? I haven't been very productive this week when it comes to sewing. You can see over my shoulder, I have a few more blocks done of the Barnstar sampler. It's coming, but then so's Christmas. Yeah, I'll be happy when this bag is done. I'm a little worried about my color scheme. It should be okay when it all goes together, but I think it will be a little unusual. Basically, you can do this any way you want, but I decided to grab a couple of fat quarter bundles that I had laying around, and that's what I've been pulling my colors from. So we'll see how this all works out when we finally get to the end of it. But I have some other projects too that I'm working on at the same time. Okay, let's go to the YouTube channel of the week. Yes, right now here in Canada, we have been, if anything good about the big orange pumpkin in Washington, for us as Canadians, it's really brought our people together. We're a vast country and we're very diversified in many ways. What happens out in BC and how they look at life is not exactly how we maybe deal with things here in Ontario or how they deal with things out in Prince Edward Island or Newfoundland, something like that. But this has really made us one body. And I'm very thankful for that because we should be. But we are fighting. We're not taking this laying down when the great orange pumpkin, turns around and threatens us again with annexation. We're not taking it. And so we have a new slogan, and you may see me do this a few times. It's elbows up. And well, here's a video that explains elbows up. This week's YouTube video is a hilarious, entertaining one with a political point of view, and it's called Elbows Up Canada. You must see this just for the song itself and the graphics, but it's very, very Canadian, and that's the whole point of this. And given the situation that's going on right now between Canada and the US, I think this is very appropriate. And elbows up, you're going to be hearing more about that, especially if you're an American, because this is now becoming a symbol for us, showing you that we are proud to be Canadians. We're proud of our country, and the country is never going to become the 51st state. So if you want to laugh, but if you also want something that's going to make you really think, listen to the lyrics, then check out Elbows Up Canada. So the link for that YouTube video can be found in my show notes if you're interested in seeing the whole thing. And if you do a search for Elbows Up on YouTube, you're going to find all kinds of different musical versions and explanations of why that is now a symbol of our unity as a country. And you Americans are not getting us. So suck it up, honey. Okay, so in the show notes, you will also find a link for the Idiot Quilter Pop-Up Sew Day coming up this Saturday, March the 29th, 2025. I open the virtual doors. It is a Zoom at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we run until about 5. There's going to be several pop-up sew days in the next 2 weeks. This one, and then in another 2 weeks, I'm going to have another one. And then about 3 weeks after that is the Idiot, not even 3 weeks, about 2 weeks after that will be the Idiot Quilter Spring 2025 retreat. And next week, there will be a video coming out all about that and with dates for registration and all that good thing. And of course, that's absolutely free. Anything I put up here is absolutely free. Pop-up sew days are absolutely free. And just to go back to pop-up sew days, join us. If you've never joined a pop-up sew day and you've got some free time, and you don't have to be there for the whole day, come and go as you please. Work on whatever you want to work on. It is a fun day. We learn a lot from each other. We get enabled sometimes. Somebody shows, I get enabled all the time. Someone shows me something, I go, ooh, I've not seen that before. I need it. And so, yeah, ka-ching, ka-ching. But yeah, it's a great time. It is not recorded. It is a private Zoom link, and it's in the show notes below. And those of you on my mailing list, I just sent the whole link out to you before I started recording this video today. So, yeah, have fun. Enjoy it. Enjoy the day with us. We don't bite unless you want us to. Of course, on Wednesday, we have Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, as we always do. We didn't have it last week because both Stephanie and I were away. Stephanie was teaching at a guild, and I was presenting at a guild. Different guilds, different countries. But yeah, but we're back on track. So this Wednesday, as usual, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The link's below. It is a Zoom as well. It's not recorded, and all are welcome. And again, come and go as you please. Okay, so there's links to my friends' channels. There's links to my first 2 patterns that you can download. Their PDF format. I am going to reveal my 3rd pattern. No, my 4th pattern will be revealed during the retreat. My 3rd pattern is going to be revealed in a couple of weeks' time as well. And they'll eventually find their way onto my Google Drive, and there'll be a link for those when those go live. And those are absolutely free as well. But we'll talk more about those patterns when they get released. Okay, let's see. And there's links for all the past week's videos as well in the show notes. So if you missed something, check it out. Yeah, please. And I just want to say a great big thank you to all my new subscribers. I've had quite a few new subscribers in the last week, week and a half, and that always makes me happy. So please, yeah, and keep the comments coming. I do read all of the comments. I don't respond to all of them, but if there is a direct question to me, I will answer those to the best of my ability. And sometimes I will also make a comment about a comment as well. So I really appreciate them. Many of you put a lot of thought and effort in those comments, so I want you to know I do definitely read them, and if it's something there that needs deeper consideration, I will give it deeper consideration. Okay, so that takes me to what things are looking like outside today. Well, this was a bit of a surprise, and let me get my weather app up here too at the same time. This was a bit of a surprise this morning. We have snow. All of our snow was pretty much gone. We've had rain, in the last week or so as well. And here we have a light, it's not a heavy, it's a light blanket of snow. But I think I looked out my front door and I think it was sort of raining lightly too. So this will probably disappear by, mid-morning or so, I hope. But what is today's forecast? Well, it's 55% chance of rain. So yeah, this is going to wash this all away. Hopefully this is the last hurrah for the winter season now that we're into spring. But where we live, we could have snow in April. Yeah, In fact, we could have the trees starting to look like about to bud and the grass turning green, and bang, we could get dumped with several inches of snow. So never say never. Really, you're not guaranteed not having any snow until July. Yeah, I exaggerate a little bit. Depends on what part of Canada you live in. So the rest of the week, well, it's looking balmy. It's in the minus single digits at night, but during the day we're above zero. Thursday is really hot, 7 degrees C. That would be about, let's see, about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Balmy weather. Ooh, but come Saturday, there's a 75% chance of snow. See what I mean? And Sunday, 70% chance of snow. But then on the following Monday, 1 week from today, 80% chance of rain. So this is the kind of unsettled weather we're going to have right now as we move a little further on into the early weeks of spring. And that's just Canada. Okay? All right. That takes me to what's pissed me off this week. AI, artificial intelligence. Oh my God. I'm sure most of us knew, if we know anything about computer technology, and you don't have to know a whole lot about this because everybody's talking about AI these days, but it is so rapidly taking over. And that's what it's doing. It is taking over. And, you know, there's a lot of good things about AI. I use AI in my house. If you have an Alexa or a Nest or whatever, you've got electronic devices that turn on your lights and you run your thermostat and stuff like that. That's AI. Okay. And so those types of AI have been around for a while. And I use mine all the time. Everything in this room is controlled by AI when it comes to my lighting. I come down here, I say the magic word to my device. I'm not going to say it right now because she's always listening. It's funny that we refer to these AI devices as she. Maybe that's because they programmed them with a female voice. Although, mind you, my Alexa upstairs is a male's voice. I changed it because I'm a man. Do we need to have AI nagging at us? Sorry, bit chauvinistic, isn't it? I know. Anyways, it's just in fun. I'm just being funny. I am. I'm just being funny. Anyways, yeah. So it controls all my lights down here, which I love because I'm lazy. It can control my printers. If I want to turn a printer off or on, because there's been a problem, it does that. I have intelligent cameras in this room. This room is full of cameras. It really is. You don't want to be in this room if you want privacy. Okay. So I use it a lot, but AI is built into our appliances and has been for a long time. We just didn't call it AI. But any electronic device that has a mind of its own is AI. But let's extend it a little further. I don't know if you have noticed this, and it is hard to notice, but take a look at some of the YouTube videos that are out there, especially the ones that have really interesting clickbait to get you into those. Listen to the voice and look at the images. Those have been generated by AI. I have experimented with this, and it's not that hard to do. You can go onto, in fact, YouTube now has a facility for creators where you can go into AI and you type in a topic, you type in a few points that you want that are related to that topic, and it will help you to draw up an outline, a fairly detailed outline for a potential script or for a series of videos. I haven't really used it except to like just very briefly experiment with it, but that's a good thing. I like it. There are other programs out there too that help you with your writing, like Grammarly. You hear about Grammarly on YouTube all the time. Well, that's a form of AI. But if you watch some of these so-called documentary style videos on YouTube, a lot of them and more of them all the time are being generated by AI. The voice, the people you see in it, the pictures, the videos within the video, those are all created by AI, and it doesn't take a great deal of expertise in computer software or in computer programming to do those kind of things. Now, the danger of this, though, and this is what pisses me off. I love AI. I think it's great, except in the hands of somebody who wants to scam you, because scammers are using it now. They're using it not just in emails on the internet, but they're using it on phone calls as well, because they can take anybody's voice, a famous celebrity, your mother, your kids, whatever. If they can get a sample of their voice, they can create a whole robocall or email or whatever, a soundbite that sounds like your relative. Now, why is this dangerous? Well, I just saw a program, Marketplace, which is a Canadian show, consumer show, and they were talking about how the scammers will use these voices to do like the grandparent scam. That's an old scam. You know, you get a phone call from some person saying they're your grandson and they're in trouble and they're in jail and they need $1,000 or something to get out of jail and this kind of thing. Well, in the old days of those scams, it would be somebody with sort of a neutral voice. And if you hadn't seen your grandchild or somebody in quite a while, it was easy to get sucked in by that. They wouldn't say a name, but in the process, they were playing on your emotions, and you could be scammed out of $1,000. It almost worked on me once a few years ago. Thank goodness for Walter. He had a head on his shoulders, and he said, "No, hang up. It's a scam." And yeah, but they caught me at a weak moment. They played on my emotions, and all of my intelligence that I think I have, my logic, went right out the window. So yeah, now, if they can sample somebody's voice, they can convince you of almost anything. Used to be when you got those robocalls, it was a scammer. It was somebody from, India, Nigeria, someplace like that. They'd have a heavy accent, and you pretty much, that was the giveaway that they were trying to scam you. But now, no. In emails, it used to be when you got a scammer email that there was bad syntax, there was bad grammar, word choice was inappropriate. It probably started with, "Hello, dear." Yeah. And it would be Mrs. Mama Bobby Sabi Rabi Abi from Nigeria, who, needed you to spend $1 million and some dollars that she was going to give to you for charitable things, and your cut was going to be a 500,000 or something, and all you needed to do was just simply give them access to your bank account. Yeah, well, those ones were fairly easy to spot because of the bad grammar that was in. Now AI, I just mentioned Grammarly, perfectly written. Yeah, not only that, but identities are being stolen by AI. They're going in and they're taking YouTube creators' pictures and things and creating content or trying to sell things under the name and the logo and picture of the YouTube creator. And AI is allowing them to do this. So yeah, AI is going to be is a really big problem right now. You don't know who to believe. In fact, we were watching a YouTube video just last night, Walter and I. And Walter says there was a young man sitting in front of a microphone. He was talking about predictions for the next iPhone. And Walter says, "I think that's AI generated." And I got up real close to the screen and was looking for telltale signs that this was artificial. But because I have watched this channel before and I have seen this person before, no, it was not AI. But if I hadn't seen any of this before, I could have been very much, if it had been AI, I don't know if I could have been able to see the difference between AI and reality. AI is creating false headlines about the news. And right now, oh my God, on YouTube especially, as soon as you go onto the homepage of your YouTube channel, whatever, you bombard it with all kinds of stuff about the situation going on in the United States with the Great Pumpkin. Um, you know, it's it's bad, and it's getting very, very difficult to figure out what's real and what's not real. And that's the danger. We have um an election coming up at the end of April, federal election here in Canada. And they've started, well, they've been putting commercials on for a long time on TV, on YouTube, and everything. And this is basically where the politicians bash each other. Well, now they're creating those with AI as well. So what's pissing me off is people who are using AI for evil purposes, whether it is to scam us, whether it is to try and sell us products, whether it is to try and get us to think in a certain way or to vote in a certain way. Those are all negative things about AI. But just like anything in technology or any inventions, there is always the good side and the bad side. And as long as there's evil people out there and the technology exists, they will find a way to use it for evil purposes. So, how do we avoid these problems? It is difficult. No two ways about it. I guess you have to become extremely skeptical about anything you hear or watch. Question it. Don't accept it at face value. If it's coming through on your email, you look at the address of the sender. If this is not somebody that you know, don't delete the email. Don't go for it. If it's that important, they will get a hold of you in other ways, or they will make their real identity known to you so you know it's the real thing. Same with phone calls. If you're getting a phone call and it comes up that there's an unknown caller on your phone, or look at the telephone number. Sometimes it comes up with the telephone number, and it usually will start with an area code or a regional country code plus something something that is not your country's code. Then you know this is probably, unless you know somebody overseas, and if you do, they're probably in your contact list anyway, so their name will come up. Don't answer it. Block it. Again, if it's that important, they will leave you a voicemail. Oh, they're scamming voicemails too now with AI, because the AI can leave a message, and it might be from your bank. It might be from your credit card company or something like that. Don't talk to them on the phone about it. Find out the legitimacy by going to their official website and check it out. And also check the URLs for websites too, because Google does something. When you Google a company, they will stick whoever's paid them the most money at the very top, and you'll see it says sponsored. And now AI, when you do a search for Google, will automatically come up. Actually, I don't find that bad. But again, it's gleaming information. Like you ask it a question, like, hi, how do I use AI to draw me a picture? First thing will come up in Google is this thing. It says it's AI, and it has pieced together information that it has found at lightning speed across the internet to create an explanation. Don't accept those explanations as 100% accurate. They're not really going to scam you with those, but they're only as good as where they found their information, which begs the question, can AI be scammed by AI? There's a thought. And if you've ever seen the movie Terminator, some parallels there, aren't there? So I guess we have to fight back. We can't accept anything at face value anymore. We have to check out various sources, and we have to be very, very critical and skeptical about anything that is directed towards us. I guess the bottom line, and what really pisses me off about all of this, it is creating a whole society. Well, we've always been a little bit untrusting. Well, we're getting to the point where we can't trust anybody, and that's kind of sad. Okay, so Let's go to grow light update. Well, I'm just going to show you my peppers, our peppers, because I am very proud of our peppers. And there they are. And they are in various colors, they're various sizes. They're coming along. We have started eating them as well, and they're so nice. They taste so different from what you get in a grocery store. They're fresher tasting. They have flavor. They have flavor. They haven't been ripening or whatever in a truck somewhere. Um, they haven't been sprayed with chemicals, been genetically modified, whatever. They're just lovely. And they are a thing of joy. Look at that. There's a yellow pepper, orange pepper, a dark purpley pepper, a red pepper. There's some green ones way back there too, but they are doing really, really well. And our goal is basically to have peppers all year round under the grow lights because they grow the best. The lettuce is a little sad right now, but we'll replant it and get it going again. And of course, once we get into May and that, we can start doing our outdoor garden. We'll have lots of things there too. And we'll have to think about what we're growing there this year. I'd really like to grow things that I can make into something else that I can either freeze or preserve in some way, for the winter months. But yeah, this is a thing of beauty. Okay. So that's my little Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow episode. New products. Okay, here is something that came into my email box last week, and I'm going to show you this. Let me just get up here to it. Okay, so here in Canada, of course, we're fighting back against the great orange pumpkin, and we are buying Canadian. We're trying to stay away from Amazon. That is a hard one. That is a hard one. But we're trying to buy things that are produced, manufactured, and sold in Canada by Canadian distributors, etc. Well, Amazon has gotten wind of all of this, and they came out with this and sent it to me as an email. It's called Canada Showcase. Featured brands. These are all supposedly Canadian brands. I say supposedly because I'm not completely sure, because we have these brands in Canada, but are they purely 100% Canadian? I would say not all of them. Like Glad. I'm really not sure about Glad. Okay. But here you go. Shop by category. Food, kitchen, clothing, etc. Household essentials. There's Clubhouse Spices. Clubhouse Spices are Canadian. Billy Bee Honey is Canadian. But there are some things here that I would say are might be suspect. They might be distributed in Canada, but are they made in Canada? Shreddies is made in Canada. Post cereals are made in Canada, I think. But yeah, look at that. They're definitely capitalizing upon the whole Buy Canadian thing. Out of curiosity, though, let's take a look at Glad bags and let's see if we can see the label. Because I have noticed that lately on these little pictures, in some cases, they've been showing the information on the label as to where they're made. Festival. Here we go. Okay, I got the French side, but Fait en Canada means made in Canada. With, I'm not sure what that is. Let's see if we can find English. Interesting that they showed the French side of the bag or of the box. Yeah, the maple leaf doesn't necessarily global components. Let's see what's on. Okay. You have to read the label and think about what they mean, because they will put things in a strange way. It's made in Canada. Big red maple leaf. That's the first thing your eyes would go to if you saw this on the shelves of your local store. And you go, oh, it's made in Canada. I can buy that. But it says of global components. That means they source around the world. And one of the places they probably source some of their materials from are probably from the United States. So very, very tricky. Yeah. And so that's basically what the French was saying here uh, on the box down here. So this part with, yeah, that means with global components. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still have to be tricky. And let's face it, to be realistic about buying Canadian, we can't buy everything because we don't have everything, but we can increase what we buy that comes from Canada, at least to, undercut places like Amazon, which is very difficult to undercut. I mean, I'm going through Amazon withdrawal right now. I'm trying not to buy from them, but I haven't been 100% with that. Okay, so the other thing we bought, and I need to get the picture up here. So you know that in May, middle of May, we leave for Holland for a couple of weeks. And then later in the summer, in the middle of the summer, we're going to London, England. And we're going to be doing our transportation via train this time. This is going to be kind of a first. We're going to travel around Holland on the train system. And we're going to be traveling from London to Birmingham for the quilt show that they have there on train as well. And we don't want to lug around big suitcases with us on this trip. So Walter's done the research, as Walter does, and we went to the Rick Steves website and bought his travel packs. So we have, these are a type of backpack. Well, they are a backpack basically, but they're expandable. And so you see the big one that's in here, the dark colored one, that will be my suitcase. Walter's got one as well. There's a lot of room in them actually, surprisingly, but they qualify to fit as carry-on on an airplane. Now we won't have them as carry-on. We will check those as luggage when we take the flights. And they do have straps, and the straps, it's very nicely designed. The straps go inside a pocket on the back of the bag, so the straps are out of the way, which is good when you're checking it on the airplane, because then the straps aren't hanging out on the conveyor belts and stuff and getting caught or whatever on something. It's all reinforced. There is a wire mesh in the lining of these bags, so if someone walks up to you and tries to slash your bag, they're not going to get far. And there's wires inside the shoulder straps and things like that. Again, if they tried to slash it, you're in a crowded area, you've got this on, and if they slash your, what do we call it, your shoulder harness and rip off your bag. So yeah, we are going to travel very light. We don't take a lot of stuff with us anyways when we travel, but this is going to force us to really only take the bare necessities with us, because we want to go very, very light. The other little bag, the teal one, Walter has one too, is a smaller version of a backpack. And this is for our stuff like when we're going off on day trips on the train in Holland. We'll be leaving the big bag in our hotel room, but we'll take the smaller bag with us that'll have, like, a coat in it, an umbrella, that kind of thing. Very light stuff. And again, it has security systems. The zippers lock up, so you can't open them easily. So if someone, trying to get into your bag and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how we're going to be traveling. These were not particularly cheap, but you can spend like upwards. I think the big bag cost us about 200 and some odd dollars. We did have to buy American, for this because we had nothing that was in our price range and that was comparable to this here on anything we went to in Canada. So the big bag was from Rick Steves. As I said, the little bag came from Luggage Canada. That came from Montreal. So that one was Canadian. The little plastic bag with the black things in it, those are cubes that came from Rick Steves as well, which we bought. They're packing cubes because they are designed to fit in the big bag. And the little box, that is a converter, for plugs and that. Now I have one, I've had it for years, probably have had it for over 30 years. Comes in a nice little box, but it's a whole bunch of little components and they all stack up and push into each other. This is one cube. Things pop out, things pop in. Again, we're going for minimalist here. That is something we have to have. It has USB connections too. This will save me taking my bag of electronic devices, little plug-ins and everything for all occasions. I'm still taking my essential ones that I'll need for my iPad and for my phone. But yeah, again, we're going very, very light, and this is going to help us do that. Another thing that I bought, okay, these are LED lights. I am rediscovering, and I know a lot of you will groan at this, Temu. But you want to know something? I have not been disappointed by Temu. Now, when you're going to see it in a moment, I've been making these 3D printed houses and things that are very elaborate structures, and they take lights, and they're wonderful. So I decided to buy a bunch of different types of LED lights to try out. What you see here cost me about $35 in total. So I got a lot of bang for my buck, and I've already got another set I'm using right now as well that I came from there, and they're fine. Not a problem. So that's even cheaper than if I was to buy them on Amazon. And yes, I'm buying them from China. And we know there's problems with China, but China makes everything. So, yeah, they're not Canadian made. If I could find a Canadian made one for what I'm looking for here that was reasonably priced, I would most definitely buy from them. But for now, Temu's getting more of my business as a substitute to Amazon. Amazon should be aware of this because as more and more people try this out and are happy with what they get from Temu, the only thing is we're spoiled. Amazon, you get stuff the next day. If you've got Prime or whatever, Temu, it takes about 2 weeks. So plan ahead. That's all I can say about that. Okay, so let's see. That takes me then talking about lights for creations and things. What have I been making on the 3D printers? Well, I thought I'd give this a go. Now, those of you that are 3D printers know this already. There's a big controversy over the original Benchy. The original Benchy is a little boat. Everybody prints them. It's a way to test out tolerances and different things that what your printer can do in your settings or what it can't do. It's been around for quite a while. Well, recently the company that created the Benchy, and it was just distributed freely and you could do with it whatever you want. And many people were taking that Benchy and transforming it into other things like pirate ships and they did all kinds of fun things with it. And at one point I was kind of collecting them a little bit, but they're also dust collectors. But anyways, a company bought this other company out, and they decided that the Benchy was going to be copyrighted, and they weren't going to allow creators to distribute their own versions of the Benchy. Well, there was a big protest in the 3D printing community to the point where the company relented. Squeaky wheel gets the oil, as I always say. And now that's not a problem anymore. But other people have decided to create other forms of Benchies for free distribution. And I thought this one was kind of cute because they've set it up as a little train system. But each one of these components, these cars to it, test for something different on your printer. So I just thought it was a cute idea, so I printed it out and put it together. So something a little bit fun. Okay. And there is my latest creation. the theater, and I'm loving it. This is by Fulv, Fulv. I don't know what that stands for or how you even say it, but I have made, this is the third structure I've made by this designer. He or she, because I'm not sure whether it's a he or she, is a brilliant designer. The detail and the time that goes into this, and having a bamboo printer with an AMS with the automatic color changing makes these a breeze. Now, there's a lot of little pieces that you print out and then you put it all together, but assembly is extremely easy. He has built it in. In some cases, you don't even need glue for parts of it because he has made it so they snap together, and they snap together perfectly. So well thought out. Complete instructions. He even has started creating little videos that are animated videos where you see all the parts and you see through a series of slides how the parts go together. I can't say too much about this person. Now, these you do pay for them, but they're inexpensive. This theater cost me about 20 bucks Canadian. I mean, I don't know how he does it at for that amount of money because of the detail and the time that it is put into planning this, or designing the parts, the whole bit. So, as I said, I have 3 of them, and of course, this is where the lights come in with this as well. I have it on a timer system. So now in our family room, I have the theater, I have the haunted house, and I have the Christmas mansion. And he has more. In fact, I printed out pictures of all of his other creations. And my goal this year is to make as many of them as I possibly can. The one drawback to all of that is, where am I going to put them when they're done? The house is going to be full of these, I can tell you. But they bring me joy. I love them. I think they're great. So if you have a 3D printer, and even if you don't have a 3D printer that has an automatic material supply system for changing your colors, he has included information on how to print these with single color machines as well. I mean, it'll take you a little longer. You'll have to switch rolls of filament, but it can be done. And by the way, if you're interested in how long it takes to make this particular one, I kept a record of it. It took in total to print out all of the parts slightly over 38 hours. Okay, which is a lot of time, okay, for something like this. And of course, that doesn't take into consideration that, I had to slice the file, put it into the machine and things like that. So I printed this over a period of about a week and a half. And it was printing every day and some cases through the night as well. But I love them, as I said. Okay, so what else have I been creating? Well, I am buying a lot of filament now for my bamboo printer from Bamboo Lab, the company that makes it. I really love their filament, and they are a Chinese company, so I'm not buying American. I'm buying directly from Bamboo Lab, and actually their shipping is pretty fast. I get it within a few days. And I love their filament. So what I'm slowly doing is I'm using up all my old filaments, and some of them are been around for a while, so they're kind of brittle. And I'm going to be replacing them with bamboo filaments. And so I printed this little display. It shows you, I ordered from Bamboo Filament swatches for all the filaments that they make. And then I found this little design for organizing those filament those filament swatches in this little display rack. So when I need filament and I'm looking for a certain color, I know what it is, and I have a number for it as well that I can order from. So yeah, I think this is a really practical print. Okay, let's see. Nope, I think that's all of those things. So let's go back here. Okay, so that takes me to an older video clip from one of our early days as Walter Live. And this one's on butter tarts, because my favorite food next to pie are butter tarts. And butter tarts are an authentic Canadian food item. And there are many different recipes for making butter tarts. But butter tarts are so important to here in Canada that there are butter tart festivals. And we talk about that in this clip from the Blast from the Past from Stephen and Walter Live.
It's got that. Okay, so another thing though that was interesting today we went to the Butter Tart Fest in Oshawa. I love butter tarts, okay? I consider myself a connoisseur.
And they're a Canadian thing.
Yeah, and butter tarts are a Canadian food. You can get them in other parts of the world, but they are a Canadian food. And butter tarts can be made in many different ways, and I'm always on the search for the ultimate butter tart. And I can just eat those things like candy, which is why I don't buy them too often, because I will eat them.
I can take or leave them.
Yeah, well, whatever. Well, you've made them before,
I've
too.
made them before, yeah.
So, we went to the Butter Tart Fest. You couldn't get a butter tart. There wasn't any butter tarts.
Nobody was selling them. Well, actually, I think somebody was there selling them.
I think there was one
but they
booth.
ran out. So.
And it looked like the way their booth was set up that they probably didn't have that many anyways to start with. So if you wanted a cup of coffee, you get a cup of coffee. If you wanted a sandwich or a burger or something that they had, you could get that. If you wanted a piece of jewelry, you could get that. But you couldn't get a butter tart. Only in Oshawa. So maybe it was misprinted on their advertisement. Maybe it wasn't a butter tart fest. Maybe it was a butter tart less fest. I don't know. But no butter tarts there. So what are people saying here? 931 Thumb says, it's nice to see Walter more relaxed and talking to us. I love these chats. Keep them coming, guys. Okay, glad that you like them. And Ian says, I love Piet Moder... I know that's an artist. And I've never had a butter tart. Oh, Ian. Yes, I don't imagine butter tarts are something that are that you can get in England. We'll have to look when we're in London.
I doubt that. I know butter tarts are Canadian.
They're a Canadian thing.
And my parents came from Holland. I know they didn't have them there. So.
Is there any butter in a butter tart?
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember exactly what's in it,
because it's mostly corn syrup,
corn syrup
or maple syrup.
If somebody's from the States, it's similar to pecan pie, only a little sweeter,
and not usually as thick, and no pecans.
Right. Usually they have raisins in them.
I love that part. That's why you don't like them, because they have raisins in them.
I'm not fond. Well, I mean, it's okay, and so it's usually corn syrup and brown sugar and butter, and I'm not sure what else. And you cook them, and you bake them, and they get all fizzy up. And when they settle down, there's this semi-transparent layer of this corn syrup and brown sugar in it, and they are very sweet.
Evie says, "Is this like a cake or a cookie?"
It's a tart, like a little mini pie, and I don't know, Europeans, and I'm not sure if you know, but like, in Canada we have pies, in America they have pies, and it is a flour and shortening and salt crust, and
that's the pastry.
That's the pastry, and it's like. I'm not sure, like a...
You're doing a wonderful job of describing a butter tart.
Yeah, what do you call it? It has a filling in it.
But the filling is on the runny side.
Mm-hmm.
It's very syrupy. They're very, very sweet. And this is where the problem comes with butter tarts. If they have not been made properly, the sugar can crystallize out in them, and there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than biting into a butter tart that crunches. Or... they can be too runny, so the fact is you bite into them and you'll literally be wearing it. They'll be running, sticky stuff will be running up your arm. Stay away from bees at that point. Or the pastry in them sucks bad. Walter makes good pastry, he makes good pies with that. In fact, when we first met and he made a pie, the first time he ever made a pie that my mother's had ever had a piece of, she says, Well, my mother always claimed my grandmother, her mother, made the best pies ever. But she always told me, she taught me how to make pastry, but she always said, you don't use shortening in pastry, you use lard. Lard will make it flakier, and you only roll out your pastry once. If you have to roll it out a second time, throw it away, start over again, it'll be tough. So then Walter makes the pie. And my mother says to him, oh, this is good. She says, this is better than my mother's. And she says, so what's your recipe? She says, you must have used lard. And Walter said, no. Where did the recipe come from?
It came from the Crisco box at the time.
Which is shortening.
And I've always used it ever since. And all it is flour, shortening, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of water to combine it. And then you just combine all the ingredients and then roll it out and put it in your shell.
Yeah, and he rolls it out more than once. If he has to, comes out flaky, it's great every time with it. So, anyways.
And actually, that recipe is no longer on the Crisco box. Do you have a different recipe?
Oh.
But.
Did you try the different recipe?
No, it's got vinegar in it. I don't put vinegar in it.
I have heard of that, of people putting vinegar in the pastry, but I don't know. But anyways, looking here, Evie says, is that like a cake or cookie? And then Ian says, it looks a bit like a Bakewell tart. I don't know what a Bakewell tart is, Ian. But then Dorothy says, sounds like like syrup tart. Yes, it is. It's a syrup that's in it. Yeah. I mean, a true butter tart is actually can be made with something called corn syrup or with maple syrup. Corn syrup's a little thicker than maple syrup though, so then you have to thicken up the syrup with it. But people do all kinds of different combinations to make these. And Ian says, or maybe a trickle tart.
Treacle tart. That's probably what it is. I don't. I've never had one, but that sort of sounds like what it might be.
I've never had a treacle tart either, but I've heard of them. But I think that's probably the closest thing to a butter tart with it. But they are Canadian, so if you ever come to Canada, look for a butter tart.
Actually, maybe next time on a blog we should buy a couple and just show them.
Mm-hmm. Right? Well, that's what I want to do today. Yeah. Today we went down to the Butter Tart Fest, and I thought, okay, I'll get one butter tart from each spot, and we'll have a taste test when we come home. As I said, no butter tarts.
So we will in a future session show what a butter tart is.
Yeah. Evie says, sounds really yummy if it's done the right way. Yes, they are. They're addictive. They're absolutely delicious, and they are just loaded with calories because there's a lot of sugar in them.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, as you know, on Wednesday, I went to the Trent Valley Quilters Guild and gave a presentation about why I'm an idiot quilter. And Walter took this picture when we were there. I had a lot of people. There were 88 people at the guild meeting that I presented to. The technology, I was really worried about it, how well it was going to work. It took me 5 minutes to hook everything up. We had time to kill. We went across the street to a Subway and had a sandwich while we were waiting for, the official start time of the meeting. I think I did well. Walter said that I did well. So if Walter said I did well, then yeah, it's high praise from Walter. Lovely bunch of ladies. I would love to have been a member of their guild. Really, such an active guild too. They have so many things happening every month. So there is no need for any quilters to feel isolated here if they are a member of this guild. I was very impressed with them, and I was very pleased that they asked me to speak. I was nervous about it because I didn't know how well the technology was going to work and everything and what the setup was like. But as I said, within 5 minutes, I had everything up and running, and that was wonderful. They did present me. I do this for nothing. Okay, I do this free because guilds are on a very, very tight budget. And I was just flattered to be asked to speak there, so I didn't need to be paid. They did give me, though, a lovely gift. They gave me some fabric that I think came from Hawaii, because the lady who I've been in contact with, who organizes all of this, the presenters, she had just gotten back from Hawaii, and the fabric is very unusual, very lovely, and I'll be showing it on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow, so you'll get a look at it as well. And she and her husband are beekeepers and make their own honey. And she presented me with a jar of their honey, a fairly large jar, about 500 grams, I believe. That's a big jar. And I've tested it, and it's delicious. Um, and it says it's wildflower honey, and I think they do sell it as well. So, yeah, that was better than money. The fabric and the honey, you couldn't ask for anything more on it. So, yeah, so we had a really nice time there, and it went well. So I was texting my brother. Okay, on a little bit more somber note, Walter and I have a funeral to go to this afternoon. A very close family friend to my parents, really, but we grew up with these people as well. So, you know, they're more family than friends in that. She passed away last week, and today's the funeral, so we are going to that. She was 89. I believe what I'd heard last time was she was in a nursing home and she did have dementia, which I've gone through with that with my father and the whole bit, and that is not fun for the people, for her family or anything like that. So we're going to the funeral to pay our respects and everything like that today. So yeah, that's not something I'm looking forward to, but you do what you have to do. But I decided, well, my brother who lives out in BC, I texted him to let him know about the passing of, her name was Rita, about her passing. And he sent me a picture back, and he said, I forget what he didn't say anything about the picture. He just sent this picture and then said, okay, that's thanks for letting us know about Rita and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to show you the picture that he sent me. Oops, why did that get down there? There we go. Okay. I was rather surprised to see this picture. Okay, who are these people? Well, apparently, my brother is a grandfather. This is not my brother. This is my oldest niece, his oldest child, Katie. This is her husband, Kelton. And this is their 5-month-old daughter, Clara, my great niece. Now, why was this surprising? I didn't even know Katie was expecting. Clara is 5 months old. This is the first I have heard of her or seen a picture of her. I did not know that my brother had a grandchild. Now, so I said to my brother, oh, well, that's nice. And you never even told me that Katie was expecting or anything. He goes, oh, my bad. I'm a poor communicator. You think? Uh-huh. But anyways, she's a little cutie. She reminds me so much of her mother when she was that age. And I never met Kelton, her husband, even though we went out there almost 2 years ago now to visit with my brother and sister-in-law. My niece and her husband, Kelton, were part of a wedding party, and they were having the stag and stagette that particular weekend. I did get to see Katie, but Kelton and the boys the men in the party, in the wedding party, had gone to Las Vegas for the stag. So yeah, I never got to meet them. And we weren't at their wedding, and they've been married now for 6 or 7 years. So this is why this was a surprise, because Katie is now going to be about 32, and I think Kelton is about the same age. And so, yeah, so out of the blue, I have a great niece. So that means I have to make her a quilt. And I have one figured out, and I'll be talking about that and showing you what I have in mind tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. Okay, so that's it for me today. Just a reminder again, Pop-Up Sew Day this coming Saturday, March the 29th. Virtual doors open at 8 a.m. and come and go as you please. And the link for it is in the show notes below. And if you're on my mailing list, the email went out before I even start recording this morning. Okay, I hope you have a great week. We'll see you maybe later in the week on Idiot Quilter, on Sewing with Stephanie and Steven, on So Chatty. Yeah, and on the Pop-Up Sew Day. So lots coming up. So we'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye for now.